out is just adding a title sequence. You can make those, the title sequences can be 5 seconds each, and you put an opening title in the front over black, and your closing title at the end over black. I'm gonna cut this light so everybody can see what I do up on the screen. All right. All right, so first let me talk a little bit about visual effects. All right, the purpose of them. So the reason why you want to have an understanding of visual effects and why you might want to have them is because visual effects increase the production value of whatever your project is. Visual effects increase the production value. I'm going to go back. So what is production value? Production value is usually defined for video as elements within the video itself that makes the video more interesting, more inviting, or more engaging to watch. So if you have like a well-lit shot or a well-composed shot, that's going to have more production value than a sloppily composed shot or a poorly lit shot. Because the poorly lit shot, it makes it harder to engage with whatever it is that you're looking at. A shaky shot makes it harder to engage. That production value is low. Meanwhile, something that's well lit, and then as far as editing is concerned, color corrected, if you apply certain things to make it that enhance the visual, then if you've done it properly, then it makes it more inviting when you actually watch it. So that's production value. So when we talk about visual effects, you're talking about doing things which enhance that, which presumably make it even more interesting, for people to watch. So in order to apply visual effects, you gotta know what your toolkit is like. You gotta understand what you're capable of with the software that we have. We just can't imagine, oh, it'd be cool if we did that, and then you don't have the ability to be able to execute it. You need to know, sort of, or at least have a really, really good handle on what your software is actually capable of. Now, fortunately, Premiere is a very capable editing software. It has a lot of visual effects that you can apply for whatever the certain circumstances are. Our purpose for this assignment is, I'm calling it sort of like through coursing it. And we've done that a couple times with a couple other things where, in this case, it doesn't matter to me specifically which visual effects you place on your shots. Rather, this is about exploring what's capable. So as long as you do something that's different for every shot, for me, that's I'm like basically requiring you to go through and see what's possible, what we go through. So for all of your shots, they have to have a different visual effect. I'm going to show you how to apply them. And in doing so, it's teaching you through experience what your editing software is capable of, so that you've got something in your toolbox. Sometimes, somewhere down the road, when you're editing something, like it could be a volleyball game, for example, and you've got the footage, and you think, whoa, if I added a visual effect here, it's perfect for what we're seeing. It's going to be really cool. It's going to increase my production value. You'd be working on something completely different later on, and you will have an idea of the kinds of things that you can do visually to elevate that shot. So you can't do that if you don't know. So that's what this assignment is about. So when it comes to visual effects, this is how you apply them. So remember some of the basic things. Like right now, my video track and my audio track both really are really small. I want to make my video track just a little bit bigger here so we can kind of see when I select them. I'm just doing that. Right now I've got a whole lot of, I'm looking at over a minute and a half worth of timeline. I can make that a little bit smaller too so that my tracks are a little bit bigger. Remember, at any time you can change this to accommodate how you're working. You can have them as small as possible, whatever works for you. I'm just kind of influencing it for now. So for me, with this first shot, I want to throw a visual effect on that. Again, for me, when I go through these, it doesn't matter as long as it's a different effect. You cannot put the same visual effect on all your shots. You can't double up. You need to, the whole point is exploring your visual effects. So in order to do that, I have this shot selected in my timeline. Remember how to select. I'm starting with my first one. I'm gonna go to effects over here, and actually that's not where I want. I like to have mine, there we go. So this is my project, this is my effects in the middle. I go to my effects, and then I go to video effects, this folder here. And remember, if you guys need to be recording, don't forget to record. If you're good to go so far and you don't need to record, that's fine.
I just have one question. Where is the effects? Because mine went away. I have effects control.
So if you don't have the effects panel here, then you need to go up to view, window, and when you go to window, you'll see yours may not be checked, but you need to check it, and then you need to grab it and then move it from wherever it popped up into this panel.
Oh, okay, got it.
Let me know when you're there.
Okay, I got it. Oh my goodness.
Okay. All right, so in your effects tab, you click that little arrow, opens up, and now you see all these different effects folders that you can choose from. You may not be able to easily apply every single effect in here, so let's go to, let's see, I'm just gonna open up, you see here, adjust, I don't wanna play with any of those. Let's go ahead and just go down to, and this is really up to you all to kind of explore, but for right now, I'll say, let's say distort. I'll open up that one. So then you see all of these. Right now, you don't know what these are. These are just words on a screen to you guys right now until you actually apply the effect and see what it actually does, what the effect of the effect is. So I'm gonna go to mirror. Let's see what mirror is. So because I'm, interested in mirror, I'll grab it, I'll select it here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab it, pull it down onto my selected clip. And then when I have that selected, I need to go to effects controls and look for that effect, see where it is. So I see there's a mirror right there. And notice when I put that effect on, it didn't immediately give us something. That's because the reflection angle we can see here is 0.0. If I hold that down, and then I drag it one way or another, I should be able to see the effect.
So weird.
There we go. So now you see it's got a mirror effect here.
That is so weird.
And so now I've added this transition where, let's say I've got a mirror effect right here. That now counts as a visual effect that you placed on a.
That is okay.
On a shot. That counts as one. And so now you go to your next shot.
I did think that.
And you go back to effects and you pick something else. Now we could stay here and see what all of these distortion effects are. And I would say, hey, stay there, like pick different things here and see what they do. But just by virtue of showing the class, I'll go to stylize, and let's see if there's anything here. So stylize, let's say color emboss.
Oh my god,
I
that's
would know what color emboss does. So I will select color emboss. I'll go ahead and place it on my shot. It didn't do anything immediately because I need to control the effect. So I need to
Oh
go
my God.
to effects controls. I'll find that effect. Here it is right here, color emboss. And now you got a direction. This is relief. I have to see what that is. I got
That was
contrast, blend with original. Right now it's 0%. So the default effect isn't blended. It's at 0%. So let me grab it. I'll drag it to the right. And we'll see what happens when you get some blending going on. My computer's slow. I'm trying to drag it right now. There we go, finally. And so for me right now, I'm not getting anything, so I'm gonna stay with this. I'm gonna see what relief does. Play around with it. I can see a very, very subtle effect when I do the blending. I'm gonna go to contrast. I'm gonna influence this. And, oh, I'm on color emboss, that's why. So I'm embossing the color. So looking at this effect, and I'm looking at it, it's not doing a whole lot. So me personally, I don't like this effect for what I'm doing. It's really not doing a lot. I want something dramatic. So because of that, I'll go ahead and delete this effect. I don't even want this effect anymore because it's not doing anything. So I've just deleted that effect from my clip. I'm gonna go back to effects and let me see if I can find something that, let's see here, that has more of an impact. I'm gonna just looking through here. Let's do noise. You know, kind of I'm gonna tell you now, it's kind of a little bit of a boring effect, but I know it's gonna do something to the shot, and it's an effect. So I'll go ahead and grab noise. I'm gonna throw it on. Go to my effects controls. Find noise. There it is. Right now I don't have any noise, and I'm gonna take, put my cursor over the 0.0, grab it left to right, drag it left to right, and I'm just gonna throw some noise. All right, so now I got some noise here. It's color noise. You see here it says noise type, use color. I could play around with clipping if I want, but here, if I were to play this now, or this scroll, you see that I've added noise to the shot. That does count as an effect. It's something that you should know about because you never know when at some point in the future you might want to add some noise to a shot. All right, but that is an effect. Notice that when I threw all of that, my render panel here, which has been yellow this whole time, turned red.
I was wondering why.
That means that when you have a red, it's going to have trouble playing this in real time, which means that you're going to have to render this to see it at some point. Let's see what happens for me if I try to play this in real time. All right, so these M1s, it actually played it in real time, which is a good thing. So this red is kind of there to tell you, hey, there could be trouble, but these M1 chips are fast enough on these computers, at least in this case, to play that in real time. So no big deal looking at that. Now, later, when you go to export, you need to make sure that you render your entire sequence so that it's rendered before you export. You talk about that. But, fortunately, like normally you see this red, it's not going to play that in real time. So it's actually kind of cool that that these M1 chips are fast enough to do it. New computers for the win. All right. So I'm going to go to another clip now because the assignment is calling for a different effect for every single clip. Let's go with, I'm just going to go in order now, just look at them all. So we've got some stuff from Distort. We can go back to that if we want to. Let's do this lightning clip, for example. Well, I'll wait for that because the lightning clip, I already know that you need to keyframe some stuff about it, so I'm gonna wait on the light. Well, I'll just go ahead and place it. I'm gonna just talk about keyframes in a minute. But lightning, let's see what that looks like. So you see it, we actually see there's a lightning effect that's added to this particular clip. If I play it through, so that's an arc of lightning from point A to point B. If we want to change that, we would go to Effects Controls, make sure our clip is selected, go to Effects Controls, and now we see all these parameters for lightning. And so you totally could have control down to the color of the lightning, the outside color, the inside color of the lightning, the speed of the lightning, the amplitude. So this amplitude, and segments. So let's see what happens if I change the segments of the lightning, for example. Let's say I add more segments. Just gonna see what that looks like. As soon as my computer catches up.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Okay, so I'm adding more segments. I went from 7 to 25. I'm gonna change the amplitude. That should influence how high and how low the lightning goes. We're gonna see here in a minute. Right now, it's just the center of the screen. Once my computer catches up. Catch up. There we go. Alright, so now I'm making the lightning super high and low. It's gonna be dramatic. So just those two things are changed. Let's see what that lightning looks like. So that looks a little different. We can change that branch angle. We can change where it is. You just go through and you can play around with the lightning. You got a lightning effect. It's just a matter of placing it, influencing it, making it look how you want it. Or you can just do what I did. You know, you see the effect there. You place it on, and you didn't change the color or anything else. Now you've got a different effect for that clip. Next clip. Let's see. I'll do just maybe one more here. Go to Effects. Let's see what's in Image Control. I don't want that. Immersive Video. I mean, maybe I could go into that, but I don't really want to. Noise. Let's see. It's obsolete folder. It's interesting. So, you know, let's see what this checkerboard is all about. What's that about? I have no clue what checkerboard is. Let's see. Oh, so it just throws a checkerboard on top of your video.
Okay.
It could be, you know, so let's go in and to our effects controls, and let's see, we've got some things here. We've got a feather here. That's your width and your height, color, capacity. I don't want to see a checkerboard.
Can you just not do it? Can you just make it smaller and hide it in the corner?
Could be. I'm just showing you guys right now, but you guys got time to play around. I don't like it for that, so I'm just gonna pick something else. Let's see what emboss does. So this is an embossing. This is what it initially does here. And then if I go to Effects Controls, then let's see here. Maybe if I make it more contrasty to make it stand out some. The blend with the original, that looks interesting. I can add a little bit of the original in. See what that looks like. There you go. So that's embossed. That's another effect. And so the whole point is, for however many shots you have for your particular 90-second sequence, you need to go through and just add a different visual effect to every shot. As long as you do that, I'm good. Well, on this part of it, because there's more we got to do here, but that's the first step. Again, the purpose of this is we're exploring what our effects are. All right, so you can choose any of these that you want for every one of your shots, as long as there's a different one for every shot.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, so how you did lightning, just stick it on there and emboss it all like this. Okay.
let's go back to the assignment. I'm gonna go down according to um, everything. So you see here, add motion effects, transitions, visual effects to the sequence. All right, so one, add at least one motion effect. We're gonna start here. Motion effect. How do you add in the motion effect? That's changing the motion for every shot. How do you do that? I'm gonna go back to my first shot. All right, so with motion effects, you don't have to throw anything else onto the shot. The shot itself you can go directly into effects controls with the shot selected, and then go right into your motion control. So you see here, the effects controls, you're gonna have this motion control, this motion arrow, but every time that you, on any shot, any sequence, you'll be able to do this. So let's go to it. We're gonna open that up, and you see that right now, this is our default position. That's your center point right here. The scale is at 100. You got rotation at 0. You got an anchor point, and you got an anti-flicker filter. We want motion. So we can influence motion by changing the position of the shot from one point, the beginning point, to the end point. We can change the scale of the shot, making it bigger or smaller to have motion in the shot from one point to another. We can change the rotation. I'm going to show you all of them. So let's start out with, with position. There are 2 points here, or you can go with your anchor point, and basically it's the same thing. It's where it's anchoring for your rotation. Let's start with your position. So the position here is always going to be this is your horizontal and your vertical. Horizontal, vertical. So the first thing is, notice if we do not indicate what's called why is it slipping my mind? Keyframe. If we don't select the keyframe here, we could just change the position of the shot just by going in and moving this horizontal. So I'm waiting for my computer. There we go. So now you see I'm dragging it, and I can just change the position of this shot the way we see it just by moving the horizontal, and I can do the same thing with the vertical. So if I wanted to see the shot over here, and then I wanted to change my vertical and do that, if I just changed it without indicating any keyframes and played it, this is what we're gonna see. It's not moving at all. We just changed the position, but it's not actual motion. If we want motion, we have to use keyframes. Keyframes are used when you want to change what we're seeing about anything what you're seeing from one point in time to a different point in time. So I'm at the beginning right now of my sequence. This is the very first frame in this sequence. If I want my motion to start here at the beginning, then I need to click this button and toggle my keyframe on. And so you'll see here now that it turns blue, and then you've got a little blue dot here that indicates you have now created a keyframe. For motion or for any type of animation, it's the difference between where you start with this keyframe and where you end. So I'm going to go all the way to the end of this shot on the sequence. And I do that I'm on my arrows right now. I could play through this, and then try to get to the end, but I'm using my arrow keys to automatically take me to the beginning of the next shot. Right now we see this is the first frame of the next shot, and then I use the left arrow just to go back to the final frame of the previous shot. And so that's how I got to this final frame. So now that I know I'm on the final frame, I've already indicated here that I want to use keyframes. This is toggling your keyframes or your animations. But notice here, this dot is not blue. I want a keyframe there, so I'm gonna hit that, and now I've got two keyframes. I got a keyframe at the end here of the shot, and if I hit this arrow, it's gonna take me to the first keyframe, and it'll pop up here. Go to next keyframe, I can do that. That's the end of the shot. Or you see here, go to previous keyframe. The only other keyframe I made was the one at the beginning. With keyframes, you can add as many keyframes as you want to any sequence. Right now, for us, basic motion or basic animation, we're just gonna do two keyframes. But you can do more if you choose to. But for right now, I'm just gonna show you the two.
I just have one question. How did you get the keyframe? I have,
So you hit this little, there's a clock here.
yeah.
You click it and it turns blue.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. So I've got a keyframe at the beginning and I've got a keyframe at the end.
Oh shit.
Now motion is about the difference that you create between those keyframes. So in this case, if I want to use this motion to change the position from where it is now to anything different, I go to my final keyframe and I just change the position. I change it to where I want it to be. So I'm gonna drag it. Let's say I want this position to be here, and I want this position to be, just waiting to be there. Now, when I play this, the original position is where the shot was, but if I hit play, so I've just created motion for a shot. Very simple motion. Well, all I did was, let me turn this down a little bit, it's a little loud. I've just changed the position. Alright, so that's position. I'm gonna undo those. Just gonna go back. Take my keyframe off. I'm gonna show you scale, it's the same thing. So whenever this is saying toggle animation. Animation means you're creating, you're creating motion, you're changing some aspect of whatever it is that you're changing from the beginning to the end. So I'm gonna toggle my clock because I want a keyframe here at the beginning. I went ahead and hit it, the clock is blue, and you see I got a blue dot here, that's my first keyframe. I'm gonna go to the end, and then do my keyframe for scale. Let's say I want to zoom in on some part of this shot for right now. Alright, that means I'm gonna increase my scale. I'm at the final keyframe here. So I'm gonna now make this scale. I'm gonna drag it to my right, and I'm gonna scale it up to whatever I want here as soon as my computer catches up. Alright, so I'm gonna scale it to, say, that. So now, over time, I've created a motion animation where now I've zoomed in on the shot. So it's as simple as that, I've now created motion. Now what I'm gonna do, just by virtue of, just to show you something, I'm gonna go ahead and pull, right now I'm working with the shot that I've already placed a visual effect on. I don't want this visual effect now, it's getting in my way. So I'm deleting it. So I'm gonna go to my effects, I'm gonna go, no, effects controls. This mirror, I don't want that there anymore, bye-bye. So I've deleted that mirror effect so I can show you something. So this is what the shot looks like without the mirror effect. Just zoomed in. Alright? So I just created motion. What if I want to not only zoom in, but I want to zoom in on this right here. Now you know that's a combination of my scale and my position. So the first thing I want to do is, if I know that I want to zoom in to this, you can kind of work these out little by little, but here at the end, I'm going to go to my final keyframe. And you notice I'm zoomed in, but so far I don't see my, I don't see that little flower, that big flower pot. So I'm going to go ahead and, I know I have to change my position because I've got to move this frame to my left to be able to see it. So I am going to, this is at the end, I'm going to go ahead and set a keyframe for my position. There it is. Right now, I've got my original keyframe from scale there, so I can set that keyframe. I can hit back, set another keyframe, so now I have a keyframe for both position and scale at the beginning and the end, because the dots are blue for both of those. So now at the end, I can change my position. I want to see what's to the left of that. So I'm going to grab my x-axis. I'm going to drag that to I believe the left. We'll see. No, to the right. And there's that little pot right over there. I'm going to put that right in the middle. I'm just dragging it over until I put it right in the middle. It's a little bit low in the shot. I want it to be just a little bit higher. So I'm going to drag that till it's like right smack in the middle. And then I'm going to change my scale and then go right in on it. Alright, so notice it's moving to the side a little bit. So I'm going to keep changing what I need to change until I get that right where I want it to be. And I'm only changing my position and my scale. So now that I go back to the beginning, it's the normal shot, and inside, what is this, 5 seconds? No, inside 3 seconds, I'm gonna zoom in to this. So always play back what you've done. There you go. So I've controlled my animation now. I set that shot up manually to go exactly where I wanted to go by influencing 2 aspects of the shot. In this case, position and scale. All right, so let's say I've got those 2. Let's say that I also want it to spin, rotation. I want to spin it. So I can go in. I've got keyframes already for these, so I don't have to manually find them. I can simply hit this clock for rotation. I've got my first keyframe. I can advance to my other keyframe and then select that keyframe for there. Now I'm going to change this rotation. Let's say I want this to be upside down by the time we get to the close-up. My rotation is here. Upside down is probably, 180 degrees, but let's see. I'm just going to rotate it all the way and we'll see. Waiting for my computer. Oh, if I rotate it, it's gone now. You know, so if I wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and do this exercise. Let's say I'm rotating it, and that's 180 degrees. Now, I still want to be able to see it, so I've got to go back for my final keyframe, and I've got to move that position over to where, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm just dragging it. There it is. I see it right there. It's at the top of the frame. I want it to be right in the middle of the frame. So now I'm going to drag my position there. So now I've set 3 positions. My position, scale, and rotation. 3 aspects. And let's see what the shot looks like. So it wasn't consistent, but it did flip it, and it ended right there, right on it. Now, if I wanted that, let's say that was not fast enough for me, I can just set my keyframes so that it would happen earlier. Right now, I set my keyframe so that the final keyframe is here at the end of the shot. I can set my keyframe so that everything ends here, for example. And then I can take a look at that. So you have some ability. So let's say I did that. Right now, my keyframes here at the end are, like, what I would do is look at these so that I can see where they are. 180 degrees, 460 scale, and then I would have to look at these. It's like 868, negative 868, and 878. So let's say I wanted this to happen about here instead. I set these keyframes. But now I got to go in and set those same numbers to get where I want. So my rotation needs to be at 180. My scale needs to be at, what was my scale? 460, I think. Just going off I can go back and look at them, yeah, and then this will be negative 868 and 878. Instead, I do this, negative
Professor,
860. Yeah.
I think you can just drag the keyframes back if you really want to as well.
Ah, so I'm doing it the hard way right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish 878. Because you're right, actually you can drag them. And so now I've matched it, I can go back. Now I'm looking at it for a while. But I just did that the hard way. Let's go back and do it the other way. But you see now, I just changed that keyframes so that I can just change it earlier. But let's say I want that exact same effect. I'm gonna undo the keyframes that I just created. One more. Yep, I'm gonna delete these keyframes, all of them. So now I've got my original keyframes. Alright, and so now you're saying go into the actual shot, right?
Into like the little window in right by the
Yeah, if they're effect controls, you can
Yeah, I
kind
see it,
just like-
gotta make it bigger.
yeah.
just highlight them, drag them over.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Alright, so these are my actual two keyframes. This is my beginning one, this is my ending one. And these are the keyframes right here. I can just drag it. I'll drag this one just over a little bit. Line those up.
The keyframes.
And early. So I've changed that keyframe from where it was over here from this indicator on this little mini timeline. Now I've put them earlier in the shot. So that's just the power of using keyframes, number one, and then being able to place those keyframes wherever you want within your shot. Now what I'm asking for the assignment is you don't have to do all three of those. You see from the assignment that when it comes to motion, I'm only asking that you should have at least one motion effect. You can choose from position, scale, or rotation for every shot. Now, if you want to have more than one aspect of motion, that's totally fine. But all I need is one. And try to vary it up. Like if you're doing one shot scale, then do another shot rotation. And then on another shot, you can change the position. It's simply getting you used to the idea of working with keyframes for motion for all your shots. Okay?
Oh, so you're saying for one shot you can do position, the other shot you can do scale, the other shot you can do rotation.
Yep.
It doesn't matter, okay. Okay. All right.
As long as every shot has motion. Okay. Add at least one motion effect and one visual effect to all of your title sequences. So, same thing. When you add your title, we'll go ahead and do one. So you add your title. Alright, so I'm gonna go to the end of my sequence. You know what, I'm gonna cut this. I don't want that sequence to be all the way over there. Alright,
And
my
then-
sequence doesn't look like y'all's because you guys have done the whole work. I'm just done this as an example. Alright. So, adding a title sequence. So here, remember what I said that our title has to be. I selected title here, clicked on to the program window, and I'm gonna type my title here. And I think I said it needs to be an edited by. And I'll do this. And I'm gonna go in and influence my title because I want that to be centered. So I'm gonna go to effects control. I'm gonna go to my text, and I want that to be centered. Looks like I gotta move this over. About roughly centered in the frame. And I'm just gonna change the font to some kind of fancy smancy font. Let's see. I'm not throwing selecting my titles and then changing my font. Computer's not giving, there we go, so I'll go with that. Alright, so now I've got that. What I'm saying is you just can't have your title, you have to throw, at least you gotta throw some kind of visual effect and some kind of motion effect. So with the title, got it selected, easy to do a motion effect. We'll go to effects controls. I will go to motion, and let's say I just want my scale to change. So I'll go add a keyframe at the beginning, add a keyframe at the end, and then I want this to, for the 3 seconds that it's up there, I'll make it bigger. Alright, so now I've got a motion effect on my title, and we need to have, let me double check, and do believe I asked for
Music.
a visual effect.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Add one motion effect
And one visual.
and at least one visual effect to all of your title sequences. Alright, so then we go find a visual effect, and it can be, really anything that you want. So, let's say we went back, normally we might not have much of a use for that grain visual effect, but maybe the grain on the title would look kind of cool here. So I'll go back and go to noise and grain, throw that on, effects control, amount of noise. Let's throw a whole lot and see what it looks like if I noise that up all the way to 100. And then I play that. So I can see it. It's not really dramatic enough for me. Don't like it, so I'm gonna remove that and find something else that is more obvious. Let's see, how about Alpha Glow? What is that? Let's see here. Alright, so it's got a little glow on it now. Alright, so kind of glowing. Let's see if I can change up what that glow looks like. Looks like I can. You know what? I got a start color and I got an end color. Let's try that. I'm gonna start my color. Let's make it kind of red. Let's do my end color. Oh wait, hit OK. Okay, let's see here real quick. I don't even have to have an end color. I just threw a little bit of a glow on there, and that's not, this glow isn't glowy enough for me, so I'm going all the way to the 100 on it. And now, there you go. So I can keep playing with that if I want, but now I've got both a motion effect and a visual effect on my end title. So you can see how stuff like this just immediately raises the production value. Instead of a boring, flat title with nothing on it, not moving, instead now I got something that's a little bit more visually interesting. It's the motions, it's getting a little bigger, and you've got a glow on it. Alright, so then you do the same thing. Just make sure that you have an opening title and a closing title. So remember, when you want to add title, like right now, you need something at the beginning, but here at the beginning of the sequence, there's no room, so to speak, for it. Remember that you can go into your track select forward tool, and that selects everything, and then you can move all that to give yourself space if you want it. And then you can create a title here. Let's say I wanted to move the title that I created already there. I can just take it, grab it, move it over. Keep going. It's a lot, keep going. All right, I can put that at the beginning, and then I'm right clicking, ripple deleting to make that. And now, let's say I wanted to put that at the beginning. Now, edited by Frank Gooden, and then it goes into. Alright,
So any motion or anything we want, that's fun.
yeah, any motion
Okay.
and any visual effect on the title, anything you want.
Okay, so are we only doing both on the titles, or are we supposed to do motion and visual on every single shot?
Every single shot, so,
Okay, that's what I thought. So
yeah.
both, like, both on each, it's not either or, it's both.
yes, both.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
That's
reason
what
why
I
I did is you see here, add a different visual effect from the effects panel for every single shot in your sequence.
Right.
I'm just going all the way down right now. So I'm telling you, I'm just being very specific here. Add this to your titles, add this to every shot, add a different visual effect from the effects panel for every shot. We've already gone how to do that. For every single transition in your sequence, use a different transition. I'm about to go into that, but I got a hand.
That was my question, is like for the transitions,
Yeah, I'm about to show you transitions.
it just has to be in between the shots.
I'm about to show you. Alright. So remember what I said. Your transitions are all these cuts. That's what our transitions are now. As we know, what a transition is simply the movement from one shot to another shot. Now, the most direct movement is simply a cut. But you can add transitions. So far, we haven't played with transitions in this class. So I'm gonna open my shot here. Right now, since I put the edited by Frank Gooden title in the front, let's bring that up. Let's make a transition for that very first one so that it's not sitting here opening with this. Instead, you're opening from something else. In this case, black. So I go to my effects, and instead of video effects now, I go to video transitions. Let's open these up, and you got all these different transitions. Let's start at the top, dissolve. You see these, additive dissolve, cross dissolves, dip to black, dip to white, film dissolves. You find out what all these are if you choose. I'm gonna go with cross dissolve for this first one. That's the most basic transition. And I'm gonna put that right here at the very beginning. Now I could put a cross dissolve here so you can see that it's between the two. Wait. Let me undo that. When you add a cross dissolve, yeah, it should look like this, where you visually can see that any transition is partially covering the former shot and then the next shot. With this one, it's not letting me do it because apparently I started from the beginning of a shot here, and so there's not room to add a transition in. So I'll talk about that in a second. So here, when I added that cross dissolve, notice there was nothing before it, it was black, and then I added it, and now I fade in from black. Then I've got this cut here. Alright, so let's say, because with this one I started with the frame, the opening frame of the shot, so there's nothing before this frame of this shot to actually transition. If I place the transition or cross dissolve, let's say on any transition, it's going to automatically, hold on, waiting for my computer. It's going to automatically place it into the transition as opposed to trying to transition two shots. It's going to place it at the beginning of the shot. So in this case, it looks like that. Alright, so now what I'm saying is, for every transition in your shot, which is a cut here, in your sequence, just find a different transition. I just did dissolve. You can go iris. Let's see what an iris box looks like. Place that and see what it looks like. That's an iris box. For the next one, I can do an iris round. See what that looks like. So it's a circle transition. Let's say I wanted to go to, what are these obsolete? Let's say a cube spin. Let's see what that's about. That's a cube spin. You can do a flip over or gradient white. We got page pills. Let's see what a page pill looks like. That's a page pill. Or you got the page turn, probably flips it another way. But the whole point here is, you see here, I've added different transitions for every transition. So I've got that simple crosses out there. I've got this little box white there, circle white there. A turn, I guess, that's a peel. And then you just keep going so that you can explore all these different transitions that are currently available. You can look them all. If you go through them all, for example, because we probably have a lot of transitions in here, and let's say you go through them one by one, and you run out, just start over and do it a second time somewhere further down. Just start over and do some different transitions. The point here is that you want to try to use a different transition for every cut. You cannot just use the same transition for every cut as you go through. Right? The whole point of it again is to expose you to what's possible so that you see what they look like, and therefore you're adding it to your toolbox, your kind of mental toolbox of what's available. Okay. So then you see here, so for every transition, use a different transition from the transitions panel. Number 5, be sure you're creating an opening and a closing title. The closing title must include an edited by and the credit for the music used in your sequence. All titles must use one motion effect and one visual effect. And then you export it. So that's the assignment. Went through, showed you how to do everything that the assignment requires. And the assignment itself is going to be roughly the same for everybody, but depending on, some of you may have a few more shots in your sequence than others, depending on the pace of your music that you edited to. But as long as you do these for every shot, however long, it's only a 90-second clip. It'll take you, some of you maybe an hour or two, something like that, to go through and get all of these onto your timeline. Some of you may even be able to finish this before the end of class. Depends. But it's up to you.